So that's very interesting that you how you got started in entrepreneurship and all. Um, what was that like when you first started switching gears and all that? So that can be really tough for a lot of people. But it seems like you were dedicated to the topic, and um, did that get you through a lot of the bumps at the beginning?
That's a very good question because so many times where you are into, the what you're doing now, you forget to, throw back and think, okay, how this everything, started,
Mm,
evolved. It was very natural. It was
mm,
very intuitive in terms of what we were doing, but it was very difficult in terms of how we frame what we are doing, because
mm,
we started very organically, I would say, through people asking us, oh, what are you doing, to have a full-time job, create a side hustle, having energy to do all the things you're doing, and to looking
mm.
good and being fit and have
Right.
your free time. Like, I was like, I mean, it's super normal, like, it was us, like it was me, and for
Mhm,
us it was not nothing difficult. But then we understood that many people struggle with things that for us were super easy.
mhm,
So
mhm,
that was not a business idea at the beginning. It was just,
mm.
our way of being.
Yeah.
And then we started. We were living in Spain for 6 months, and we started really to have people that we knew asking us to help them um,
Mm,
with their morning workout, with their nutrition topics, with their stress management. So it kind of
mm,
came up very naturally. And then we started to think, what's the common denominator? We struggle with the phase of this is a side hustle and this is going to be like, a business, because it didn't felt like a business and it still doesn't
mm,
somehow.
mm,
And that's, I think, the beauty of doing something that is rooted in your purpose, instead of doing something because it's just a business opportunity, which is totally fine.
mhm,
But that's the magic that comes when you are aligned between what you do, who you are, and what you
mm.
like. Right? It's like a little
Yeah,
bit of the
yeah.
mix, which doesn't mean that is not challenging with building a business out of it, but definitely the framing and coming to the energy topic, it was a long way.
So what are your programs like now that you've been doing the energy lab for a little bit and all? So what I'm wondering what your clients kind of go through. You must have kind of like an intake and um, well, I'm wondering about your program. Maybe you'd like to tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I said the nutrition topic. I'm not a nutritionist, but a
Mhm.
nutrition coach. That means I'm more
Okay.
into the behavior related
Mm,
to nutrition. So that means
mm,
that many
mhm.
times we think about nutrition as the what you eat, which is important, right?
Yeah.
I mean, food is energy. It makes up our energy, health, well-being. So it's all connected. But the behavior behind why we eat what we eat is also linked to many things. Has to do with our habits, our psychology, our biases, our behavior. So common
Mhm.
denominator,
Mm,
for example, that I'm seeing a lot around people I'm working with is stress. Many people think, oh, okay, it's about food because I need to lose weight. So we are often approached by people that have trouble because they need to, the doctor already told them they need to change something because,
mhm.
cholesterol, sugar, blood sugar, whatever the issues may be. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The problem many times is to do with um, stress management, sleep, overall lifestyle, um,
Mhm.
anything that has to
Mhm.
do really with their day-to-day things. So the
Mhm.
kind of programs we have right now is more on the 101. So we work with people on a 101 level, but we also started to work with companies, so B2B level, with some
Mhm.
short challenges that have been organized to create an environment where people have higher fitness, lower energy, lower stress, and higher energy. And lower stress level is key to as well have better performance. So
Mhm. Yeah.
it's both on the B2B or on the B2C. And it's said many times, it's since it's a coaching program, there is no, yeah, there is kind of structure, but it's very personalized. So there are people
Mm.
that reach out for weight, other they reach out because they feel low energy, they want to improve that, others because they don't know exactly, how to make change happen in terms of lifestyle. So there it can be very, very different, but we usually work on a weekly base with one-on-one clients,
Oh.
whether together with Marcus in terms of having a whole package with three parts, so movement, mindfulness, and nutrition, or separate, because some people want to focus on the movement part, so they want to,
Mm.
whether it's strength, mobility, flexibility, depending on their wish, or mindful movement. That's also the specific topic that Marcus covers. So it's a mix between movement and mindfulness, or sometimes it's only nutrition. So
Mm.
it can
Okay.
be, we have three different offers, so to say. Yeah.
Awesome. There's so much information now everywhere that's readily available. I think people are like drowning in the information, and I think getting people to take action then on the knowledge is really what is key, because you can keep learning and learning, and if you don't do anything with what you're learning, then it won't do any good. All right, wonderful. Thank you for joining me today. Everybody, thank you for taking the time here for another episode of Define Your Purpose. And I'm really thrilled to have Miss Ketty Minissale from Munich, Germany, joining me today. And she is, as a top entrepreneurship voice, and she's built a fortune out of health and nutrition and good eating. And she's the co-founder of the Energy Lab, which I'm really excited to learn more about, because I think that's amazing to take something that a lot of people have trouble with and struggle with, and turn it into your business. It's really neat. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what got you started on this road, Ketty.
Sure, Carl. Thank you so much for the invite. First of all, I'm really happy to have this chat with you. And yeah, I mean, you touched some of the main points that are the reason why I'm here with you today. And it's, I mean, it's all energy, right? We think time is the most precious resource, and actually it is. But what do you do with time if you have no energy? And that's one point that I used to underestimate myself.
Mm.
So I think another point that really I can resonate a lot with what you're doing is purpose, and that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I also love supporting purpose-driven entrepreneurs with this, because what I'm
Mm.
doing now, helping entrepreneurs, but also leaders and corporate, it's more into
Mm.
learning what works best for them to have great energy and create optimal performance. Because many times we talk about peak performance, but it's different for each of us. So
Mm.
the topic health and the topic energy are definitely two key points in my work. And what brought me to this, it was my own questions in terms of what's my own purpose, what's my definition of success. I started
Mm.
to ask myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. And my background is in another different, completely different industry. I worked 10 years in the automotive industry. So I
Mm.
was
Mm.
in let's say, another life than being an entrepreneur in health and fitness.
Mhm.
And suddenly I started to ask myself, how am I spending my time, my energy? Why am I helping what I'm doing? I was
Mm,
building a successful career, had 10 years of progress, changing positions, always improving myself. I was quite happy, but then
mm,
I started to ask myself, what is my own definition of success, and why, what I'm doing with my time. So this was the beginning of my
mm,
entrepreneurial journey, and as well
mm,
the beginning of a big career change for me. Yeah, that. And to the energy lab, it's all an experimentation. The lab
mm,
concept, it's about trying things that probably can work well for you, but not for me, not for someone else. It's about
mhm,
experimenting with topics related with nutrition, movement, and mindfulness. So those are the three pillars of what we are doing, Marcus and I, with
mm,
the Energy Lab. So we are helping people in really creating a better life and having, creating a better leverage for others as well. So serving others in their best way through being their best self. That's what we love to do, and that's also who we are. So it's not only about preaching, but it's
mm,
our lifestyle, it's our
mhm,
day-to-day practices, it's our own growth, our personal development. That's what we started building from who we are, what we've been learning. For me,
mm,
was focus more on nutrition and topics of mindful eating, intuitive eating. For Marcus, more in terms of movement and mindfulness. And if you like the term, summarizing it with holistic fitness, which is not always
mm,
understood what holistic is, but it's really looking at well-being as a whole, right? It's looking at all the layers that make
mhm.
our health. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's in more or less short what we are doing with the Energy Lab.
awesome, great. So that's very interesting that you how you got started in entrepreneurship and all. Um, what was that like when you first started switching gears and all that? So that can be really tough for a lot of people. But it seems like you were dedicated to the topic, and um, did that get you through a lot of the bumps at the beginning?
That's a very good question, because many times where you are into, the what you're doing now, you forget to, throw back and think, okay, how this everything, started,
Mhm.
evolved. It was very natural. It was
Yeah.
very intuitive in terms of what we were doing, but it was very difficult in terms of how we frame what we are doing, because
Mm,
we started very organically, I would say, through people asking us, oh, what are you doing, to have a full-time job, create a side hustle, having energy to do all the things you're doing, and to looking
mm,
good and being fit and have
right.
your free time. Like, I was like, I mean, it's super normal, like, it was us, like it was me, and for
Mhm,
us it was nothing difficult. But then we understood that many people struggle with things that for us were super easy.
mhm,
So
mhm,
that was not a business idea at the beginning. It was just,
mm,
our way of being.
yeah,
And then we started. We were living in Spain for 6 months, and we started really to have people that we knew asking us to help them um,
mm,
with their morning workout, with their nutrition topics, with their stress management. So it kind of
mm,
came up very naturally. And then we started to think, what's the common denominator? We struggle with the phase of this is a side hustle, and this is going to be like, a business, because it didn't felt like a business, and it still doesn't
mm,
somehow.
mm,
And that's, I think, the beauty of doing something that is rooted in your purpose, instead of doing something because it's just a business opportunity, which is totally fine.
mhm,
But that's the magic that comes when you are aligned between what you do, who you are, and what you
yeah,
like, right? It's like a little
yeah,
bit of the
yeah,
mix, which doesn't mean that is not challenging with building a business out of it, but definitely the framing and coming to the energy topic, it was a long way. We try to
mm,
understand what is the what does movement, mindfulness, and nutrition, what does your expertise
yeah,
in mix up Marco's expertise, my expertise.
Mm.
We create something that is that has a shape that we can also communicate and people understand what we are doing. So this is
Mhm.
something that
Right.
we believe it's the most challenging and also the most rewarding things when you start to see, okay, nice, that doesn't make sense only for me or for you, but also for other people, and that's a
Right.
journey.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, people asking you what you're doing, you're probably like, well, I'm just taking care of myself and doing the things I know I'm supposed to do. And but people don't know what that is. And
Yeah, and you know what, Carl? You take it for granted. At least that's what I used to do. And
Mhm.
sometimes I understand I'm biased still, and I do it because you think, oh, this is so easy. Like everyone knows it. Like, and then you happen to talk to people, reach out and say, I'm struggling with this and that. And when you are so much into it, you just think it's, you take it for granted that anyone knows it. But then the
Yeah.
knowledge you have in your specific field, many times it's so, yeah, it's so deep. It goes so deep into things that are not scratching the surface by going deeper. And that's where we get lost in social media chaos, because many people are reading everything and the opposite of everything the same day. Like something is super
Mhm.
good, super healthy, and the other one is saying it's the devil. And
Mhm.
you don't know what to believe. So if you then have a deeper understanding, you can understand what's the truth, if there is a truth behind things,
Mhm.
and what's just the noise to attract people and polarize people, because this is
Yeah.
unfortunately a little bit what the fitness industry in its simple shape does. And that's why we
Mhm.
don't see ourselves a lot in this fitness standard way of talking about fitness, but more into the well-being, the holistic topic, because we don't separate the physical well-being with the mental well-being, with the emotional well-being. We look at the human being as a whole, and you cannot
Mhm.
separate different pieces, right? It's all
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that I've always, been kind of suspicious that that was sort of a shortcoming of Western medicine, that maybe Eastern medicine has a little better of a handle on the holistic understanding. You can't just take a pill for one thing.
Yeah, that's the good point. We take pills for everything, right? There's a solution, there's a pill for everything. And we don't prevent, we tend to cure a lot. So I'm not an expert in Eastern medicine or in
Mhm.
medicine
Mhm.
at all. But if you look around, I mean, if you see how we behave and how we treat any kind of issues, we just look for troubleshooting solutions, things that are short term, and we are not ready to change the important things. Like it's about our
Mhm.
lifestyle. There are many things that you just can prevent and be not only healthy, but also have more joy, have more energy to do all the things you love doing, and to do them as long as possible, right?
Mhm.
And help
Mhm.
others in as well, have joy in their life, and reaching their goals, or creating their own purposeful life. And that's also why I love to work with entrepreneurs, because you have more leverage
Mhm.
into helping more people through helping those one that also have more. It's a chain. They have more bandwidth
Mhm.
and impact life for more people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Um, so what are your programs like now that you've been doing the energy lab for a little bit and all. So I'm wondering what your clients kind of go through. You must have kind of like an intake, and um, well, I'm wondering about your program. Maybe you'd like to tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I said the nutrition topic. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a
Mhm.
nutrition coach. That means I'm more
Okay.
into the behavior related to nutrition. So that means
Mhm.
that many
Mhm.
times we think about nutrition as the what you eat, which is important, right?
Yeah.
Mean, food is energy. It makes up our energy, health, well-being. So it's all connected. But the behavior behind why we eat what we eat is also linked to many things. Has to do with our habits, our psychology, our biases, our behavior. So common
Mhm.
denominator,
Mhm.
for example, that I'm seeing a lot around people I'm working with is stress. Many people think, oh, okay, it's about food because I need to lose weight. So we are often approached by people that have trouble because they need to, the doctor told them they need to change something because,
Mhm.
cholesterol, sugar, blood sugar, whatever the issues may be. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The problem many times is to do with um, stress management, sleep, overall lifestyle, um,
Mhm.
anything that has to do really with their day-to-day things. So the
Mhm.
kind of programs we have right now is more on the 101. So we work with people on a 101 level, but we also started to work with companies, so B2B level, with some
Mhm.
short challenges that have been organized to create an environment where people have higher fitness, lower energy, lower stress, and higher energy. And lower stress level is key to as well have better performance. So
Mhm. Yeah.
it's both on the B2B or on the B2C. And it's said many times, since it's a coaching program, there is no, yeah, there is a kind of structure, but it's very personalized. So there are people
Mm.
that reach out for weight, other they reach out because they feel low energy, they want to improve that, others because they don't know exactly, how to make change happen in terms of lifestyle. So there it can be very, very different, but we usually work
Mhm.
on a weekly base with one-on-one clients,
Yeah.
whether together with Marcos in terms of having a whole package with three parts, so movement, mindfulness, and nutrition, or separate, because some people want to focus on the movement part, so they want to,
Mm.
whether it's strength, mobility, flexibility, depending on their wish, or mindful movement. That's also the specific topic that Marcos covers. So it's a mix between movement and mindfulness, or sometimes it's only nutrition. So
Mm.
it can
Okay.
be, we have three different offers, so to say. Yeah.
Awesome. There's so much information now everywhere that's readily available. I think people are like drowning in the information, and I think getting people to take action then on the knowledge is really what is key, because you can keep learning and learning, and if you don't do anything with what you're learning, then it won't do any good.
That's the issue, exactly. That I mean, you said it. There is a chaos of information. Not always is good information. So we need to be mindful of
Mhm.
the source of information. So this is the first, yeah, the first thing that I really think about when you say, okay, there is everything. I mean, there is everything and the opposite of everything online.
Mhm.
That even if you have the right information, one thing is to know what to do, and the other thing is do it, right? Doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you just have you get clients to take action then based on your weekly meetings, and so you have your suggested course of action, and then you're following up and asking them how they did on the actions you decided.
So basically, when we start, we do status quo. Like, okay, where are we now, right? Everything
Mm.
starts
Mhm.
always with a status quo. And then the goals are usually decided or set by each person. I support with
Mhm.
questions to understand, to go deeper
Mm.
into why you want to as well. It's important to
Mm.
understand why people want to make the changes they want to make.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I ask you, okay, why are you doing it? Why you want to improve your lifestyle, your fitness level, your health? And then you start with a reason. And many times that's not the real reason. So we go deeper into the why.
Mhm.
I like the five
Mhm.
times why. So you really go into
Mhm.
the real why, not just
Mhm.
the one on the surface.
Mhm.
And then we start with the biggest one thing at a time. With the one that one little thing has the biggest impact in terms of less effort at the beginning and more impact, because you need to get motivated and you need to start seeing a little, improvement, and that's what keeps us motivated. If you do things
Mhm.
all,
Right.
a lot of things at once, that it's difficult. You need to start with one thing. So we
Mhm.
set one small change per week, and then according to how it goes, so we do a check each week. And it's a coaching approach, so it's not me giving them solutions, but it's me
Mhm.
asking and giving guidance. But yeah, as one of my clients said, I'm not sugarcoating anyone. So I think it's important to have accountability, but at the same time being
Mhm.
very honest and direct, because you're putting the effort, I'm putting the effort. So it's really important to then seeing what it's working, what is not working, why it's not working,
Mhm.
and we follow up with one little step at a time. Sometimes it's for three
Yeah.
months. Some people that we need longer help, then it's 6 months. But the 3 months program, if there is no people that really struggle with weight or something
Mhm.
specific, then 3 months are already a great time to see results. And
Mm.
especially,
Nice.
it's not about the 3 times, it's about what's happening after. This is the real value. You don't do a coaching, yourself in your work. You don't do that because of what happens only in those 3 months. You need to really
Mhm.
create something
Yeah.
that has no time later, that really is sustainable. And you don't invest in that time, you
Mhm.
invest in your whole experience afterwards as well. So
Right. Yeah.
did I
Yeah.
answer the question, or
Absolutely.
did I went too far away?
No, that's a great answer. Um, and so I wonder then how when you started moving into the corporate group environment, how you managed to deliver those results then to a group of people because you're um, it's a little harder to customize, of course, as to what the individuals all need.
Yeah,
But
that's different.
probably the company has a focus that they want you to look at. I bet, right?
Yeah, it's a different approach, of course. It's not like the one-on-one.
Mhm.
And what we started doing is we start with a survey on
Mm.
the team side. So we
Nice.
start with, what do you want to improve as a team? Which are the challenges? Which are, what are you already doing? And what are the weak points, so to say, if we can call it weak points. But
Mhm.
there is always a certain level, of I would say wish or need to improve, and we start from
Mm.
there. So we then target the program. So, for example, we had this first. There were 2 weeks a challenge, like each day a small activity, and we create that. We shape those activities according to the survey, so that we
Mm.
knew, okay, this
Yeah.
is gonna impact the majority of
Mhm.
those people, and then the experience is different from person to person. And then we have some loops, some follow up, some feedback loops, and then we conclude at the end and do another survey to see which were the progress. So many times it's really, yeah, it changes according to what is the wish of this, yeah, leadership, of course, but especially of people who are going to do the challenge. Because if
Mm.
people are struggling um, with time many times, right? We think, oh, we're
Mhm.
going to do these activities, and people, oh, I don't have time to do this. Then the first step is to understand, okay, how do you create that time? So how do you create that balance between your energy and time, so that you can take care of yourself and not sitting 15 hours a day, and not taking a break, not even forgetting drinking, like the most basic things that people don't associate with brain fog, like, to make an example, like hydration.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
bringing that little awareness and those small challenges day after day, it's just one little step at a time. But they will remember. Some, they won't do everything. That's the feedback, at least we had. Of course, you won't do the 10 activities all day, but according to your need, what is helping you the best. If you want to avoid the afternoon slam, then, and you want
Mm.
to create this energy level in the afternoon that is still doing good and don't need a siesta, because maybe you can afford a siesta, then you need to know, okay, if you switch a few things in your lunch, then you're not getting the drop that lets you feel drained in the afternoon. So sometimes it's
Mm.
those little learnings
Mm.
day after day that then compound and create, yeah, better well-being and
Mm.
better overall performance in what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be hard to know to step back and kind of make those observations yourself
Yeah.
to connect that I eat this kind of breakfast and I feel tired every day at this time, and to connect those two things, I think lots of times people
We didn't think about
don't
it.
really notice. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
not,
guess it's raising awareness too, kind of that you're working on, right?
absolutely.
Awesome. Um, So you know, I love that you're a top entrepreneurship voice on LinkedIn. Congratulations on that. So, what would you recommend to someone who is starting out in maybe wanted to build a nutrition coaching business, and what would what would be the way that you would tell them to get started, or maybe some shortcuts, or
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe there are shortcuts, first of all. I
yeah.
can tell you from what
Yeah.
I learned, it was difficult for me. It was
Mhm.
really thinking about how what I'm doing different than
Mm.
others. And
Yeah.
if you don't ask yourself the question, you can get lost and you think like, okay,
Mm.
you read a lot about other people doing something similar and you start thinking, oh, there is so many other people doing and maybe there is not
Mhm.
enough opportunity, but there is opportunity for everyone that is at least well aware of what you're doing different and how you can help people different, because
Mm.
I'm sure that you could do exactly the same thing that I'm doing, but someone else. I'm simply someone else. I have another
Mhm.
background.
Mhm.
I have a kind of background and knowledge that it's not better or worse. It's different because I can relate to things. For example, because of my previous career, I was working as a sales manager. I was traveling a lot. I had a very
Mhm.
high demand job. I had
Mhm.
issues and situations that someone that is building a whole career as a nutrition coach or a wellness coach just doesn't have, because it's not the same journey. It's not the
Yeah.
same struggle. Like, I
Yeah.
started from my own struggle. I approached
Mhm.
nutrition because I had eating disorders in my beginning 20, and it was my way to
Mm.
my
Mm.
open door to my own healing. Otherwise,
Wow.
probably I would have
Mm.
never thought, oh, I will learn about nutrition. Like, why?
Mm.
Why should I have done it? I had a
Mm.
great, I started a great career in something completely different. So it's amazing sometimes how the trajectory of our life changes according to what's going on in our world, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. You're forced to make decisions at the time, and
Yeah. And
they
to your
end up
question,
defining you, kind of.
yeah, to your question, think about who you are, how you're different, and
Mhm.
how you can better serve people. Don't focus
Mm.
about, oh, this is good or this is bad. It's about, how can I help other people in, what is my purpose behind? Why am
Mhm.
I doing it? And how can I help more people in having more power with their own purpose? Like, how can I empower
Yeah.
people? No matter what you're doing,
Mhm.
you can be, you can help people in no matter what, but it always needs to start. Why are you doing it? If you have a strong
Mhm.
why, also the setbacks will be easier. You won't give up, because it's easy. No, it's not easy, but I would say it's easier to start. Most people struggle with the starting point, right?
Yeah.
Like, majority of people
Mm.
think, I'd love to, it would be
Mhm.
nice, but never start. Then from that people, small portion that really starts, there's then many people who just give up after a while because it's difficult.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not like entrepreneurship is a cool world and everything say, oh yeah, I like to be an entrepreneur, and but you need to be tough. Like, it's not for it's not for everyone.
Mhm. Mhm.
You need to be resilient, and that's what we need to build in time. We need to build
Mhm.
to be strong. It's about strength, and
Yeah.
being able to as well go through the weaknesses, because we're not in a perfect world where everything goes as a linear progress. It just doesn't exist.
Mhm. Yeah. It kind of makes me think of your unique selling proposition, and turning your weaknesses or flaws into your strengths, that um the things that give you problems give everybody else problems too, and so you have the choice then when you're faced with those things, I guess, of how you're going to react.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's you just said you remind me of the SWOT analysis card that probably many
Mm.
people know in business.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I think each
Mhm.
of us should do a SWOT analysis for himself. Apart from there are
Mm.
many tools that we
Yeah.
can use to get there. You definitely know about the ikigai and other things that really goes into your own purpose and then
Yeah.
what you can do out of it and integrating what you know, where's demand, and I don't know by heart the other pieces, but it's definitely one tool that I gave up like 3 4 times doing it. I remember I started to do that
Mm.
years ago, and I was always giving up into okay, I have no idea like what I'm gonna do to fill this ikigai, and every time it was like okay, next time. But it's an exercise. You need to,
Well,
you know,
and probably now you go back to it, and I bet you're really good with it, right? You
a
probably
little
have
bit.
a nice little diagram, huh?
A little bit step by step, a little bit
Mm.
more probably. Yeah, I think that the progress definitely has been there, but
Mm.
it's a journey. That's, I think, the most important thing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you cannot just give up when things get um, difficult, because otherwise you
Mm.
won't get, otherwise, I mean, it's not for everyone, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's important to reevaluate your goals, though, I think, too, when you get to different stages in your life, to go back and look at your goals again, and your ikigai tree and all that sort of thing, because it can change too. Um, because
Yes,
who
it
you
changes.
are can change, by the day.
It's true. Yeah, it's an evolution, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, what are you guys in the program? What are you guys excited about this year? Do you have any launches or anything coming up that you're working on for your company?
Yeah, yeah. We've been thinking for years about doing something that we finally are doing.
Mm,
And
okay.
we've been working, as I said, more one-on-one, so really with clients in terms of coaching. But we
Mm,
wanted to create something that can be of help for more people, because the one-on-one it's always for a selected number of people. But
mm,
creating something that it's potentially there for helping more people, what we're doing in terms of a digital product, it's something that we've been really thinking about it, and this year is the right year to start experimenting with it. So we are right now working both parallel into Marcos is on creating a course on mobility as a specific topic. So there are many
mm,
people struggling with back pain, mobility issues, and or want to create a lifestyle that is better for longevity and create
mm,
strength and mobility. So he's into creating a course with this, with videos and a lot of resources. And my focus has been on sugar, because most of the people that I've been working with have a big issue with sugar in terms of,
mm,
yeah, pre-diabetic. There are many people. It's impressive. I knew that it's a big topic, but
mm,
not that extent. And I struggle myself with binge eating and sugar stuff. So for me, it's like a topic that is very close to my own journey. So we
mm.
are parallel creating 2 courses that will be live very soon. So this is our latest thing. And also
Awesome.
the B2B, we started this year the first time. We had the first pilot project. We are working on a second one. So this is something that we'd love to do. Also because we both have a background, a corporate background, so we understand that the challenges in so framed in terms of teams and not
Mm,
only of single person on a B2C level. So this is something that we enjoy. It's quite fun when we work with teams and we see how they are doing activities together and they are bonding more, and it's really fun. So it's something
mm.
that we enjoy. Those are the
Nice.
two
Awesome.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about sugar too. I think it's supposed to be up there with cocaine for addiction or something like that, or addictive power that and it can be really difficult to change habits around it too. So is that some of your program is changing habits around sugar specifically?
Yeah, the addictive part is definitely an important one because once we
Mhm,
understand how that works, it has to do with dopamine, reward system,
mhm,
and as well, the food industry is designing products so that they are bingeable. So that's really
mhm.
a topic that is complex because sugar has so many names as well. People are
Yeah.
just they look for, if they look for something, think they will find sugar, but they don't know there are more than 80 names for sugar that the
Mhm.
industry is using to hide sugar and all the processed stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So the behavior is one thing. The other thing is the knowledge, and
Mm,
of course, the
mm,
awareness is always the starting point. And yeah, there is unfortunately a lot of people really struggle with getting
mhm,
out of this cycle. So
mhm.
many, not only in US, I think it's everywhere. In many countries, the
Yeah,
countries are more. We lived in Mexico for a while.
mhm,
It was impressive to see how many people go around just drinking Coke and water. It's in proportion
mm,
even more expensive because they are pushing all the time everywhere high sugar stuff, and the diabetes level there is scary as well. So
mm, mm.
and
Yeah. It's like people don't even have any role models really, like, they don't know how it would feel to go without the sugar. Like, they don't there's nobody around to tell them even how you feel when you don't have sugar in your body.
yeah, that's so unnatural.
Yeah, yeah.
You think it's the most natural thing, water. I mean, we are made of water. Like 70% of our
Mhm.
body, and in certain
Yeah.
organs or certain parts more, other less. But
Mhm.
it's life, and still we are getting so far away from our most natural state in many levels, not only about
Mhm.
sugar, that we just disconnect with what our body needs.
Mhm.
And our body needs other things that
Mm.
the things that are contained in the processed food. Many times it's
Mhm.
not real food. So it's easy
Yeah.
because we think, oh, it's so complicated to eat healthy, you need to do this, avoid that. No, it's simple. It's
Mhm.
simple. It's just you need to really have the understanding of the very basics, like go for real food. Don't
Yeah.
go for
Yeah, yeah.
ingredients that never end. Go
Mhm.
for things that are really as natural as possible, and
Mhm.
respect yourself, your body. It's really like we become what we eat and also digest, not only what we eat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The process stuff is just terrible. If you, I think if you look at overall how long humans have been around, it's only in like the last couple minutes that we, you know, came down out of the trees and were hunters and gatherers. So we shouldn't really be doing anything else besides the exercising and the eating whole plants and foods and things like that. I
Yeah.
think that's really all the further we've come with our biology. It's really we're going to start getting more and more frustrated with the rate of our biological evolution, I feel like.
That's true, and that's what I meant. What I mean with going away from our natural, status for
Hmm.
what the basic things we need. We
Hmm.
just, we talk about all the hacks and tricks and all the things you can do, but
Hmm.
finally, it really boils down to very few basic things that are linked to the way we evolved as human being, or how we can be healthy. Because otherwise, no matter how cool or how much money or how wealthy you are, but if you're not healthy, what do you do with it, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You told me as well for you was also a journey. Like you changed a few things
Hmm.
in your own lifestyle. So you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know the difference, you think,
Yeah.
okay, nice, okay, cool. But when you experience yourself, when you have yourself, you need to make changes and you become aware and you start to take care of
Hmm.
yourself. You see as well your working performance, whatever you're doing, you have another level of energy, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started to become aware of the influence of alcohol, and I cut that out. And I became allergic to gluten. So I changed my diet, and I had to do kind of just testing stuff to see what I was allergic to, because the allergy test didn't really help, and I had
Hmm.
skin problems, and so once I cut the gluten out, then I stopped feeling any inflammation, and um, I had to change my whole diet around because my whole diet was had wheat in it, and I was used to eating all these foods that had it, and um, that kind of forced me to start not eating processed stuff.
So you really had no choice at that
Yeah.
point. Allergy
Hmm.
is quite dangerous. There are many people who become sensitive to gluten, but if you already get to the level where you're allergic, then I think the change is really not an option. That you need to change everything. There is so much of this the gluten added in food that it's not the one that is naturally contained in the food itself, but it's just added from the food industry, for making things more enjoyable, palatable, bingeable,
Hmm.
cheaper as well, to create more, bigger things or more things out of less costs. Yeah, so you know how painful it can get,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the food industry is a little bit out of control with how they hire these scientists to come in and research how to make you not stop eating this processed food that they're advertising. It all seems kind of crazy after a while.
But you know what? Because people trust brands as well. When I
Mhm.
talk to people and
Yeah.
say, okay, yeah, start looking at what it's inside, read the food labels, and many times I got, I trust this label. I know
Mhm.
I was a child when I started to listen, because they've been brainwashing us all the time with things that many times that just no
Mhm.
fundamentals, and we believe they are in good faith, and we
Mhm.
trust that we trust people, brands that actually don't deserve our trust, because our health is mostly not in their interests.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's sad, but that's the way it works. So we are responsible for our health. We think health
Yeah.
is our right, is a right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but it's also a responsibility. It's up to us to really
Mhm.
know what we are doing, because no one else is going to take care of ourselves if we don't do that
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to be your own advocate. So many times you have to be vigilant yourself, even when you're just going to the doctor for care. You have to really advocate for yourself, and you can't just kind of sit back and be an observer. I found that out, going through health problems with family members. Um, it was helpful to record entire conversations and be able to go back to them later and all. And
Hmm.
I think it's an important part of health too to go to preventive kind of exams, go for testing and things
Hmm.
like that. People never want to, but uh,
Sometimes, yeah, we must.
hindsight, there's always the hindsight. It's the killer.
Yeah, you're right. We need to be our own advocates, our own health advocates,
Right.
and we cannot. You,
Mm.
you can, as a leader or in business, whatever, you can delegate so many things, right? When
Mm.
you expand a business, you think, okay, I'm gonna have someone doing this, someone, but you cannot delegate the most important thing that is gonna be the very base for your whole life, and you cannot delegate to any doctor or anyone else. You always need to be fully present and
Mhm.
be critical, think critical, and question things. Don't just take for granted,
Mm. Yeah.
because especially today, because we have all big influencers that have a
Mhm.
huge power to influence people that are saying things that sometimes are really like out of everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah. There's crazy studies and diets and
yeah, and also studies. Like we think, oh, okay,
Mhm.
there is a study. Okay, and who has financed those studies? Who's behind?
Mm.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
need to be
totally.
critical and question
Mhm.
things and look what's
Mhm.
behind, because there's
Mhm.
so much misinformation out there. And many times when I share something, and from my experience or from studies that always try to be mindful of reading at the bottom of the studies who is giving money for, and I have people say, no, I follow this influencer who's saying this and that, and I'm always very, yeah, sometimes I'm even afraid of like all those things that people hear and repeat
Yeah.
because sometimes they really have no base, like no fundamentals in something.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I always hate to say it comes back to follow the money. All these scientists writing these articles, it turns out they're paid by the food company or something like that. That happens a lot too.
They're founded by Nestle or whoever. Like, okay,
Mhm.
interesting. Who knows what's behind? Yeah.
So, if people want to get a hold of you for some help with their habits and they want to improve their health, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Um, my email address, Ketty. So how you write my name? Ketty and Y. Oh, you pronounce Y English, right? Y. Yeah, sometimes mix German and English, but it's at theenergylab.co or LinkedIn. I'm
Okay.
very active in LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with whoever has questions or wants to discuss certain topics or needs help. I like and enjoy the LinkedIn platform.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, do you have any is there anything else that you wanted to get to today? Did you have any other comments you wanted to end with or leave people with maybe?
No specific comments, but I really want to highlight the topic why, like why if you want to make any change
Mhm.
or if you want to build a
Mhm.
career in something or change a career, to really stress the topic why you're doing what you're doing, because many times
Mhm.
the most simple question is the ones that we don't want to answer or we procrastinate, and yeah, and I think this is like one common denominator in all our conversation, no matter if it's for nutrition, well-being, or building your own business. This is something that it's
Mhm.
always the simplest and the most powerful question we can ask ourselves, and then start from there.
Yeah, yeah. Like why am I here? Why is this happening to me? Why am I in this place I'm in?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I mean, those are the kinds of questions that it sounds like helped in your story.
yeah, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. You know, hopefully we'll get to catch up again sometime soon. I'm having some events and all, so should definitely stay in touch. Um, so um, I don't know. I guess have a fantastic weekend. And
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having such great conversations with your guests and spreading the voice for
yeah,
meaningful topics and for a purpose. Thank you for that. And you too, have a wonderful weekend.
definitely. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.